Hello and welcome to the Primavera P6 Foundations course. My name is Basharat Ali and I'm having over 15 years of project management experience, worked with medium to large scale projects in private and government sectors such as IT, telecommunications and EPC. Today I will help you learn the foundations of Primavera and all those concepts that are required to plan and control your projects efficiently and effectively. But before that, just a quick note that for learning purposes, we will be using Primavera in standalone environment, which is a single user implementation only. Throughout the course, I will help you learn the important concepts of various project planning and control tasks. We will learn to create enterprise project structure EPS and creation of a new project and its related activities. After, we will see how to configure Primavera preferences and calendars. I will help you create the work breakdown structure and will work together to create and set up a project schedule. Then we will see how to customize the Gantt charts and will learn adding constraints to the different project activities. Also, I will discuss about setting up and assign baselines and will go through and assign project resources to the particular activities. After this, setting up and handling of the project expenses will also be examined during the training. We will demonstrate and learn about printing projects layouts, importing and exporting of the projects in different formats. So, are you ready to improve your project schedule, planning and control functions? Then, let's start it right away. Let's look at the project schedule building process in general. More or less, you will follow the same concept whether you are using Primavera or Microsoft Project. We will adopt the same concept of schedule building, except the creation of EPS that you may not be able to find in any other schedule management software except Primavera. Please remember that we have to go step by step while building our project schedule. First, we will create Enterprise Project Structure or EPS if it's not created previously. Secondly, under EPS, we will create a project. Then, under the newly created project, a Work Breakdown Structure or WBS is created. After, we will add activities under each WBS element according to our project objectives. Then the relationship between activities such as finish to start, start to start, start to finish, or finish to finish is defined. Please note that we will explain the relationship types in a separate lesson. Lastly, the resources such as labor, non-labor, material will be assigned to each and every project activity. In case if you don't have copy of the Primavera P6 software with you and the Primavera P6 is not installed on your laptop or a desktop machine, then please don't worry. The downloading of the Primavera P6 software is straightforward and very easy. You can always download it from the Oracle website, and I'm going to explain the download procedure for you. Let's open our web browser and visit the website edelivery.oracle.com. It will open up the Get Started with your download page in front of us. Click on New User Registration link if you don't have the account already, and create your Oracle account form is appearing here. We need to fill up the relevant fields in the form. In my case, I have done that already and I'm not going to do it now. So once all the required fields are filled in, then you will click on the Create Account button at the end of the page. Now to log in, we need to click on blue sign in button here. Type your username and password that we have created recently. For me, I have done that already, So select Download Package from the drop-down menu and type Primavera P6 Professional in the search box, or simply you can type Primavera P6. Here you will see the different versions of Primavera P6 software such as version 17, 18 and 19. I will select Primavera P6 Professional version 19.12, the most recent one that has been released in the last December 2019. Then I will select on Add to Cart button. After, click on View Cart and then click on Continue. We will select User Agreement and click on Continue. Then we will select Download and it will download the file in the folder we selected before. We will open up and run the downloaded file, then select Destination folder. I will prefer and select the download folder on my laptop. Click OK and it will start downloading Primavera P6 software package in the destination folder. I will explain the installation procedure in our next video. See you in the next lesson. Let's select the folder where we have downloaded the zipped file. In our case, I have downloaded and extracted the zipped file in my download folder. So I will select and run the setup file in the P6 Pro R1912 folder. The Run Database Configuration option I will keep as it is and then click OK. Since I will not be connecting to any Oracle database, Cloud Connect or Microsoft SQL Server, for training purposes, we will be working and configuring the database locally on our laptop machine. That's why I will select the driver type to P6 Pro Professional Standalone SQLite only. Then click Next. Please note that since we will be adding the standalone database on our laptop, so I will select the radio button, add a new standalone database and connection. Then I will click Next button. I will type and confirm my password. Then I will click Next and select Finish button. Press OK and my setup is complete now and the latest Primavera P6 version 19 is installed already on my computer. Then I will run program Primavera P6 version 19. It will ask for the username and password as you can see in the window. I will type my username and password in. Click on Connect button and my standalone Primavera P6 Professional project management software is ready. Now we need to select the relevant industry I'm working for. So from the main menu, I will select Admin, then Admin Preferences, and I will select the industry type to Government, Aerospace and Defense. Click OK. Our latest version of Primavera P6 is ready for the operation now. I'm positive that you have learned and understood the Primavera P6 installation procedure very well now. Okay, then let's move to our next lesson now. For the sake of this course, I assume that the Primavera is already installed and set it up on your computer by your IT department. Let's launch the software by clicking Primavera P6 icon on your desktop. Type your password in and it will open up the startup interface in front of you. As you can see, it has three parts. The area on the upper left side showing individual projects, portfolios, that is called Enterprise Project Structure or EPS. The area in the bottom of screen is called Project Detail Form. Here you can see various tabs like General, Dates, Funding, Details and many more. All these provides detailed information about the project such as project name, start and finish dates, funding source, amount along with the new activities, default settings. If required, these tabs can be customized More options can be added or removed by right mouse click on any of the tabs. The portion on upper right side is called Gantt charts view, showing start and end dates of tasks, projects, and portfolios. Clicking on any of the bar will show project detail in the bottom window. In the previous video, we have already defined our user preferences, and now we will change the required settings in the admin preferences. From the top menu, select admin and then click on admin preferences. From here, we can mention various application-wide values that apply to all projects. We can use these settings to customize our project to meet our specific project schedule requirements. I will click on General tab and will prefer to modify the settings as starting day of the week to Monday. Of course, starting day of week and activity duration can be changed as per our specified project requirements. I will leave data limits and ID lengths to default values, but I would like to check and verify values in the time periods tab since this setting will affect my projects. So click on this tab and see if the hours per day and hours per week are defined correctly here. The settings for the Earned Value tab, Reports, Options, and Rate types, I will prefer to leave them as defaults. But in the Industry tab, I have to select my own industry I'm working for, because the Primavera will use the default calculation settings and terminology as per my specific industry settings. So let's select engineering and construction for our settings at the moment. Before we proceed further, our first step would be to set up the user and admin preferences in the Primavera. So let's select Edit from the top menu, then click on User Preferences. Next, click on the time units and define how to display time information. In units format, in our case, let us select units of time to hour and leave the duration format as day. Then I will click on dates and specify a format for dates as required. I will prefer to use day, month, year format, and I prefer time as 12-hour format. But again, it's your choice whether you want to use 12 or 24 hours format. I'm going to click on the currency tab and select view currency. Here we can specify our own currency format, but usually by default it's in US dollars. Similarly, click on the Assistance tab and specify which resource and activity wizard you may want to use while adding new activities and resources. In my case, I will leave as it is. Next, I will click on the application and set our application startup options. I will leave activities as our startup window. Now we will click on the password option, and from here we can change our existing password if required. I will leave as it is since I don't need to change the password at the moment. Similarly, resource analysis, calculation, startup filter options can also be modified if required, but at the moment I will keep the same as default settings. Now let's understand Enterprise Project Structure or EPS. The Enterprise Project Structure or EPS enables us to manage multiple projects from the highest level of the organization to the people or resources that perform the specified project tasks. That means it summarizes all the projects in the organization. EPS helps us to manage all our projects in the organization from the top to bottom. We can manage all our company projects, budgets, assign resources, and can do the project's cost analysis at organizational level. Work breakdown structure, or WBS, is a hierarchy or levels of work or sections that are separated into different work elements, which must be completed to achieve project objectives. Every WBS element may contain more detailed WBS levels or activities. Please remember that while creating project, the project manager should develop the WBS first, then assign related documents to each WBS element, and after create activities required to complete the tasks for the respective WBS element. In the previous lesson, we have already defined our user and admin preferences. So now we are ready to create an enterprise project structure and then can create and start working on our new project. Please remember, in simple terms, the enterprise project structure EPS creates a database of projects similar like folders, and each EPS node can be further divided into multiple levels. From the main menu, select Enterprise and then click on the Enterprise Project Structure option. Click on Add button on the right side, and down below under EPS ID, I will type Training and EPS name as Primavera Education, and I will click on the Close button then, and you see the new EPS as a Primavera Education has appeared already at the top. Next, we are going to create our project under this new EPS named as Primavera Education. Please remember that the EPS ID and name can be selected as per our own specific company requirements. We have already created enterprise project structure in the previous lesson, and we are ready to create a new project now. For doing so, I will select my EPS and click on File from the top menu and click on New, or simply press Ctrl+N on our keyboard. New Project Wizard will open up. Then choose the newly created EPS through Select EPS option. Select plus button on the right side and click Next. Type project ID as PR001 and project name as Learning Primavera Foundations and select Next. We have to mention the project start and finish date here, or you can leave it as default. I will be leaving other options such as Responsible Manager, Rate Type as defaults. Click on Finish and the new project is appearing under our new EPS, earlier named as Learning Primavera. Select the project by clicking on Project ID PR001 and see the detail form below. Here in the Dates tab, let's mention 10th of Jan as our planned start date. I will mention the anticipated start dates as 15th January and finish dates to 30th of Jan. Congratulations, you have created your first project in the Primavera. Now our next step would be to set up a calendar for our newly created project. As we have created our project already in the previous video, And now we need to create a calendar and assign it to our new project accordingly. In Primavera, we can create and assign calendars to every project activity and resource. In a calendar, we can define the available work hours for each calendar day, such as holidays, working and non-working days, resource vacation days. From the main menu, select Enterprise and I will click on Calendar options. As you see, the calendar window is opened already. Select the Project Radio button. Since we are going to apply calendar to our project, so I will click on Add button. Let's select Template from the global calendars. I'm going to select 5 days worksheet template. Let's click Add and a new calendar is appeared under calendar name. I'm going to rename it as PR001 5 days per week. We will click on Modify button and at the top I will select Detailed Work Hour per day. I'm going to click on Work Week on the right side and I'm making sure that Saturday, Sunday is a holiday and my timing for all other days is 8 to 4 p.m. 8 hours a day every day. After that, I will select OK button and close. The calendar named PR001 5 days per week is created for my project already. Now let's apply this calendar by clicking on our project name. Then in Defaults tab, in the Calendars option, let's confirm if the newly created calendar is applied already. So for now, the calendar is already assigned to my project. Our next step is to create the work breakdown structure WBS for our project and then create activities under these WBS accordingly. WBS means we will break down our project work into different parts or sections. So let's click on Project from the top menu and then I will select WBS option. It is opening up the WBS window in front of us, which is showing the project name that has start and finish dates displaying in the Gantt chart area. Next, we need to right mouse click on WBS name, click Add, and a new WBS name is appearing on the screen. Let's create 2 more in a similar way. For the sake of this training, I will keep it simple and we will limit ourselves to 3 WBS only. Next, I have to rename them as per my requirements, such as Stage 1 to Training Planning, Stage 2 as Training Commencement, and Stage 3 as Training Implementation. We can sort them out by clicking on WBS name in ascending or descending order. Our project WBS is complete and next step is to add the project activities under these WBS names. In our last lesson, we have already completed the WBS entries and now it's time to define activities under each WBS. We need to switch to Activities window. So from the top menu, select Activities From the project option, I will right mouse click on Training Planning and then click on Add option to add activities here. I will add 3 for now. We have noticed that the activity IDs are automatically assigned by the software. Let's rename the activities to define training objectives. Training need analysis, and create list of participants. Similarly, we can add activities by right mouse click on the training commencement. Then I will rename these activities as identify start and end dates, and the second activity we will modify as training material preparation. Next, we will add activities for our third WBS, which is training implementation. And under training implementation, we will rename the activities as conduct training and issue certificates. As we have defined our project activities under each WBS category, the next task is to define milestones and add relationship between the activities. We have created project activities in our last video, and now it's time to define the milestone activities. In the project activities window, let's click on activity ID A1000 in the detail form down below. In General tab, I will change the activity type option to starting milestone. If you observe here that the duration is changed to 0 and the change will be reflected in the Gantt chart portion as well. Similarly, I'm going to assign activity A1060 as a finishing milestone. Our next step is to add relationship between these activities. Let's understand the different schedule activity types. A relationship between activities in any schedule tells us that how an activity relates to the start or finish of another activity. Adding relationships between two activities means that you create a route or way through your schedule. You take that route to complete your project work from the first activity to the last activity. Please remember that an activity can have as many relationships as needed to complete the goal or objectives of a project. You can also establish the relationship between activities of two different projects, which is called external relationship. Let's understand the 4 activity relationship types such as finish to start, start to finish, and start to start. In finish to start relationship, the start of a successor activity is determined by the completion of its predecessor activity. That means The successor activity cannot be started unless the predecessor activity is finished. In start to finish relationship, a successor activity cannot complete until its predecessor activity is started. The finish to finish relationship tells us that the finish of a successor activity depends on the finish of its predecessor activity. Start to start relationship between two activities explains that the start of a successor activity depends on the start of its predecessor activity. In other words, you cannot start your successor activity unless the predecessor activity is started. If we observe the project activities in the upper right side in the Gantt chart area, we find out that all these activities are starting on the same time. That means we need to create relationships between our project activities. First, I will click on the activity that I want to assign a predecessor activity, and in this case, I will click on Create a list of participants. Click Assign button in the detail form below. In this window, select Training Need Analysis and click on the plus button to assign. After, you will see Finish to Start relationship appear in the detail form below. Again, in a similar fashion, I will click on the Identify Start and Dates and assign Create List of Participants as a predecessor. Then we will click on Training Material Preparation and assign Identify Start and Dates as a predecessor. After, I will click on Conduct Training and assign Training Material Preparation as a predecessor of this activity. Now, I will need to reschedule my activities by pressing Schedule icon in the top menu, and immediately after this, we will see Finish to Start relationship between activities. As shown in the Gantt chart area, this way, we can always create any type of relationship such as finish to start, finish to finish, start to start, or start to finish between our project activities. Generally, in Primavera, constraints are used to manipulate the start or finish time of the individual project or activities. We can say that a constraint is a factor that sets when an activity can start or when it can be finished. And each activity in Primavera P6, we can have up to 2 constraints that can be placed on it. In order to add project constraint, I will select our project in the project window, and in the project detail form below, click on dates, and we will set the must finish by option to 30th Jan 20th. After this, I will refresh data by pressing F5 and then press F9 to schedule the project, and this will let us update the project database with the latest project data. And this is how we set up constraint for our project. We have already learned about adding the project constraint in our previous session, and now it's time to add activity constraint to our project activities. We will select our project and open up the activities window. Then I'm going to select the activities for which I'm going to apply the constraint. There are different types of constraints available for a particular activity type. So let's click on activity ID A1010 in the detail form below. I will select status, and under constraints in the primary constraint section, I will select start on or before, mention date as required, but I will leave as it is. I can see the asterisk sign appeared in the start date of the activity, which shows that this activity has constraint applied on it already. Our next move is to learn to add resources such as material, labor, or non-labor resources to our project schedule, and further to assign these resources to the different project tasks. From the top menu, select Enterprise and click on Resources, which will open up Resources window. Let's scroll down at the end and right mouse click on Add to add resources to the Resources database. I will enter resource ID as a Primavera and resource name as a Learning Solutions. Resource type will be as labor. Then in the Detail tab, I will change the defaults units per time as 8 hours per day. Rest of the settings I will keep as defaults. Then I will add resources under Learning Solutions. Let us add 2 labor resources under Learning Solutions for now. By right-clicking on this, I will modify the resource IDs as JB and JK respectively. The resource name can be any names such as John and David. Then in the Details tab, I will change default unit per time to 8 hours per day. So this way we can add resources to the project resources database in the Primavera. And in the next video, we will learn to assign these resources to the different project activities. In our previous lesson, we have learned the procedure to create resources for our project. Now we will see that how these resources, whether labor, non-labor, or material, can be assigned to our project tasks. To complete this task, let's click on Project and open it. It will take us to the activities screen. First, we have to make sure to select the activity we want to assign any resource. Then in the detailed form below, we will click on Resources tab. So I will click on Training Need Analysis, and in the bottom under Resources tab, I will select Add Resources button, and it will open up a new window from here. I will assign John to our first project activity by clicking plus icon on the right. Similarly, I will assign John to other activities except conduct training, since the required resource for this activity is David. So that's it. This is how we assign different resources for our project activities. In our previous lesson, we have already learned the procedure to create and assign resources to the project activities. Now it's time for the expenses. In this video, we are going to learn that how can we assign different expenses to a particular activity. In the project activities window, select the activity and below in the detailed form, we will click on Expenses tab. Click on Add button to add new expenses item, and I will click once more to add another one. We will rename the first item as a trainer boarding and lodging, and the second one as training material expenses. In the budget cost field, we can enter budget available for every activity. In our case, let us assume that the budget available for training boarding and lodging is US $1,200, and for training material it's $900. Various costs such as labor, non-labor, or material total cost and expenses details can be seen and observed in the Summary tab. We are going to learn that how can we create and assign a certain baseline to our projects. For this, I will click on Project from the top menu and click on Maintain Baseline option. The Maintain Baseline window is already displaying my project name there. I need to click on Add button on the right side, and Add New Baseline window will appear here. Now we will confirm save a copy of the current project as a new baseline, and next I will click OK. We can see the newly created baseline B1 has appeared in the baseline name. I will select baseline type as a management sign-off baseline. Then let's press close button on the right side. Next step is to assign this newly created baseline to our project. So let's select project from the top menu and click on assign baseline option. I will select project baseline as our newly created baseline, and similarly will select learning Primavera Foundations B1 option under primary in the user baselines. Then we'll click on OK button on the right side. Let's observe this in the Gantt chart area, and a new blue bar has appeared under each project activity, which is actually the project baseline that we have assigned to our project already. In this lesson, we are going to discuss the procedure we can use to modify the existing layout or can create a new one if required. Let's open up our project by right mouse click, and we are in the activities screen now. We can save the new layout by clicking the layout option at the top and fill in the new layout name. I'm going to name it as PR001 layout. By pressing save button, we'll save the new layout in the database. In order to add actual start, finish dates and actual duration, click to view and select columns. Then under available options, click and expand dates, move actual start finish dates to the selected option side. I need to add actual duration also, and for this I will expand durations and add this option to the right. Now we can arrange these columns by up-down arrows. Click OK, and we can see all the new columns in the activity window. Let's revert back to old layout. If you can remember, our old layout name was Classic Schedule Layout. I will select and apply this through Layout option. You see the old column settings are back to the previous settings. So this is how we can change or modify our existing layouts. Up to this point, we know the procedure to create, assign resources, and enter related expenses to the project activities. In this movie, we will learn to update the activities progress in the project schedule. For this, in the detail form below, we will click on the Status tab, and under Status heading, we can update the status of each project activity here. For example, when the activity was started or finished, the expected finish date, duration percentage complete, etc. We must update the progress regularly and enter the start, end date as well as expected finish date of every project activity here. Reporting of the project activities is easy, but it's important to control and monitor our project schedules. In the upper left corner, in the project activities section, I will right mouse click and select filters option. For example, if I want to show and see the activities that has constraints defined, then I will click and select that has start constraints or has finish constraint options in the filter, and after I will click on OK button to see the activities that has constraint defined. We can also select milestone option if we need to display the milestone activities in our project. We can define our own filters by clicking on New button on the right side of the filter window. In fact, we have various filter options defined already by default, such as completed and critical activities, in progress, not started activities, etc. If we need to work and open multiple projects in the Primavera, we can select Enterprise from the top and click on Projects option. Press Ctrl and O together on our keyboard. Then, in the Open Projects window, hold Ctrl button and select the projects we want to open at the same time. In our case, we will select Learning Primavera Foundations and Red River Refuel Outage project. Then click to Open button. We can see both projects are open in the Activities window, and we can modify and work on both of the open projects activities at the same time if required. In the last lesson, we have learned to create and apply a new layout for our project. In this video, we will talk about various settings that are possible for the Gantt charts. Right-click on Gantt chart area and select Bars option. It will open up a window with various options that we can change as per our requirements. As an example, let's click on Milestone and you will see three options below: bar style, settings, and bar labels, etc. Here you can choose different shape, color, or pattern of the bars. In general, we can keep them as defaults, but of course you can play with different settings and change the shapes of the bars as per your needs. Similarly, if we want to add vertical or horizontal grid lines in the bar chart area, then in the same window, please click on the Options button below and it will open up a new window called Bar Chart Options. At the top in the Sightlines tab, in the vertical lines area, I will select major lines to every month and show minor lines to every day. I will click OK button and then hit Apply and click OK. See and observe the changes applied in the bar chart area. So, till now, we have covered all the important and foundational concepts that are usually required to schedule and control our projects efficiently and effectively using Primavera. In order to make your learning experience better, please feel free to comment if you have any. I'm sure you enjoyed learning with me and hope to see you in our next project management course in the near future. Thank you.